There are places in the world where violence seeps into the soil, where old stone remembers the screams of centuries past, where the very ruins seem cursed by the events they've staged. The borderlands between England and Scotland are one such place. A land of endless raids, cursed castles, and centuries of bloodshed. And if the stories are to be believed, in many of these castles, something still watches from the shadows. They say that despite his small size, his strength cannot be matched. That even though he wears heavy iron boots, he can't be outrun. They say that he wears a ghoulish red cap, and that if you ever come across him, you'd better start praying. So what is this creature we call the Redcap? Why does it haunt the ruins of ancient castles? And why is it considered to be one of the most unquenchingly evil characters in all of folklore? Hi everyone, and welcome back to Beasts of the Old World. If you're new here, this is a channel where we discuss ancient folklore and mythical creatures from across the globe. I'm Nick, and today we're uncovering the twisted truth of one of Britain's most fearsome folkloric monsters, the Redcap. As always, giving the video a big thumbs up and dropping a quick comment is incredibly helpful to the channel, and if you haven't done so already, get yourself subscribed and set notifications so that you never miss another episode. With that said, let's get into it. The Redcap is a unique being in a number of ways. Unlike many mythical beings of the Borderlands, he doesn't hide in the dark woods or in the mists by the rivers. He lurks in castle ruins, crouched upon the battlements, peeping from behind cracked stone walls, watching for the unwary as they pass by. According to 19th century folklorist William Henderson, the Redcap is
cruel and malignant of mood, and resides in spots which were once the scene of tyranny, such as border castles, towers, and pale houses. He's depicted as a short, thick-set old man with long, prominent teeth, skinny fingers, armed with talons like eagles, large eyes of a fiery red colour, grisly hair streaming down his shoulders.
Henderson goes on to confirm that, unlike most Fae who are repelled by iron, the Redcap is so evil that he even wears heavy iron boots, and despite their weight, somehow he can run faster than any living man. He also carries a long iron pike, one he's all too eager to use. But most distinctively, he wears a red woolen cap, for a truly grisly reason. Most Fae creatures, even some belonging to the Unseelie court, are mere tricksters and mischief makers. But Redcaps are only interested in one thing, and it's something you can't do without. The old tales tell us that once a Redcap sets its sight on a victim, no one can escape. Not by foot, nor by force. So what, if anything, can you do to protect yourself against such a creature? What can be done against a villain that can't be fought and cannot be outrun? Henderson offers only two defences, neither of which involves steel or strength.
This ill-conditioned goblin may be driven away by repeating scripture words or holding up the cross. He will then yell dismally or vanish in a flame of fire, leaving behind him a large tooth on the spot where he was last seen.
Those who flee are caught. Those who hesitate are dragged screaming across broken rock. And when the Redcap kills, he does not do so cleanly. He bludgeons with stones, he punctures with his iron pike, and then, as the life seeps out of you, he stoops and soaks his woolen cap in your blood. He must, because if the blood on his cap ever dries out, the Redcap perishes. And so they keep it fresh. They keep it red. And this, of course, is the terrible truth behind his name. Given all that Henderson has told us about the Redcap, that they kill to survive, that they're solitary, goblin-like creatures drawn to the blood-soaked ruins of the Borderlands, his insistence that Christian iconography was an effective defence against this murderous goblin is a strange one. It's not an uncommon suggestion among British folklorists of the day by any means, but almost certainly a later Christian addition to the myth, and is perhaps better described as wishful thinking, to be taken with a very large pinch of salt. Stranger still is his retelling of the story of Redcap Sly, sometimes known as Robin Redcap. Curiously, the Redcap in this tale, which is probably the most famous Redcap tale of all, doesn't fit his earlier description of the creature even slightly. Instead, it is a tale about a Redcap's servant and his master, and the dark pact between the two. Long ago, in the brooding fortress of Hermitage Castle, there once lived a tyrant lord who went by the name of Soulis. Warden of the South and West Marshes, Soulis was a noted sorcerer and was feared all around. For it was said that he was protected by a malevolent spirit whom he'd summoned from out of the deep. This wicked creature was a Redcap, known as Redcap Sly. For years, they reigned with fear, terrorizing and exploiting their citizens. None dared oppose, and for a great many years Hermitage Castle, a cursed and impenetrable fortress, cast its shadow of terror far and wide over the Borderlands. For it was true, Lord Soulis did indeed conjure Redcap Sly as his familiar. Sly was a fiendish creature with a blood-stained cap and iron boots, and on the day he was summoned, he swore an oath to his master. While thou shalt live a charmed life, and hold that life of me, against lance and arrow, sword and knife, I shall thy warrant be. No forged steel nor hempen band shall ever thy limbs confine, until threefold ropes of sifted sand around thy body twine. With this dark pact, Lord Soulis grew bold. His deeds darkened. He tortured, pillaged, and murdered without fear, for no blade could cut him, and no rope could bind him, save one made of sand, which was of course impossible. And always Redcap Sly watched from the walls, guarding his master's bloody throne. At last, the people rose against him. They'd heard rumours that Soulis was protected by a magic spell, but many didn't believe it. And yet, as they approached the castle walls, they were met with the eerie, dismal scream of Redcap Sly. The very sound caused their arrows to snap in their quivers, and their swords to blunt and soften until they melted away, leaving the men defenceless and doomed to die at the hands of Soulis' soldiers. Years passed, and hope waned. The people trembled at his name, for they knew that no metal weapon forged by man could kill him, nor could any rope bind him. Indeed, Lord Soulis and Redcap Sly grew so evil and so depraved that the castle itself began to sink into the earth to hide its sins from God. Eventually, even Soulis' men, sickened by his wickedness, abandoned him. And yet, Soulis feared no comeuppance. He was protected by the unbreakable magic of the Redcap. Nothing could harm him. That is why that on that fateful day, when the mob came once more for the Dark Lord, he was unafraid. As they approached, Redcap Sly screamed once more, but this time, nothing happened. This time, the mob had brought no bows, no arrows, no swords or any weapons of any kind. The men continued to advance. Still, Lord Soulis sneered at them, confident of his invincibility. "Leave this place," he commanded, "or Redcap Sly will curse you all. No weapon can harm me, and no rope can bind me." Still, they tried. They led the Lord into the gallows they'd constructed, and there they tried to hang him by the neck, but no matter what they did, the ropes would not turn around him. He laughed. "You see, I live a charmed life, for no weapon can harm me. No lance or arrow, no sword or knife can any danger be. No forged steel nor hempen band shall ever my limbs confine, till threefold ropes of sifted sand around my body twine." Soulis threatened the men and cursed them, but the mob would not give in. They dragged the wicked lord to Nine-Stane Rig, where, to his horror, Lord Soulis observed that they'd laid out some stones surrounding a large wood fire, upon which sat an enormous brass cauldron, and beside, a wide sheet of lead. For the first time, he began to doubt the ability of his Redcap servant to save him. This was no sword. This was no rope. A cauldron and a sheet of lead lay outside the dark pact he'd made all those years ago. Maybe Redcap Sly would be powerless to interfere. Maybe he wouldn't be able to save him this time. And so Soulis despaired, and he begged for his life. He begged in vain. On a circle of stones they placed the pot, on a circle of stones but barely 9. They heated it red and fiery hot, till the burnished brass did glimmer and shine. They rolled him up in a sheet of lead for a funeral pall. They plunged him into the cauldron red, and melted him, lead and bones and all. Redcap Sly was never seen again. But some say, on a cold, dark night, if you listen closely, you can still hear his distant, haunting wail, mourning his fallen master, forever bound by an ancient curse, never to return. Sir Walter Scott once claimed that Redcap Sly still haunts the dungeon of Hermitage Castle to this day, or at least his day, for it was there, according to legend, that Lord Soulis first called him forth. There in the blackest chamber of that bleak fortress, the pact was sealed. Before his final capture, Lord Soulis is said to have entrusted Sly with the keys to that very room, and now, once every 7 years, the Redcap returns to unlock the dungeon door and stalk the Borderlands once again. Scott goes on to say that into this chamber the peasant is afraid to look, for such is the active malignity of its inmate that a willow inserted at the chinks of the door is found peeled or stripped of its bark when drawn back. And if you visit Hermitage Castle today, you'll find it just as he described, squat and brooding deep in what is now a rather lonely valley that was once the bloodiest in the whole of Britain. For that is the true reason we talk of redcaps in these castles. They are chilling reminders of the seemingly endless wars that once took place here, of treacherous deeds so evil that they must have been birthed by dark magic, of battles so bloody and warriors so fierce that the creature born out of them was inescapable, unchallengeable, and so bloodthirsty that it couldn't survive without killing constantly. The dungeon at Hermitage Castle is still there. The door still shut. So if you're ever heading up that way, you can go and see for yourself. You could press your eye up to the keyhole and take a peek at what, if anything, lies on the other side. If you dare.